Check one. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Good? Yeah, we're good. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us from Brian P. Mudd Court. This is Matt Baker. Joining me alongside tonight is one of our varsity assistant coaches on the girls' side, Brian Conley. Say hi to the people, Brian.
How we doing, guys?
Excited to have Brian with us, and I appreciate him filling in, especially at the last minute. That was a phone call made this afternoon. He was more than willing to step in. So we'd like to welcome you to tonight's broadcast of the Clinton-Massie Falcons men's home opener versus
Williamsburg
Wildcats. Can you hear everything good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, he's good. Oh, you want that one flipped?
Oh,
there you go. There you go. Hey, we're working out our technical difficulties here. Exactly. So we're good to go now. But, yeah, home opener against the Wildcats, who have already played 2 games. I'll tell you, Brian, the first thing that jumps off to me after talking to their coach, Coach McKibben, is they have averaged 70 points a game so far.
Wow. That's impressive, especially early in the year.
It is. You know, not only are they shooting well, especially the 3-ball, we'll talk about that in just a second, but to come out and come 70 strong for 2 games in a row brings a lot of confidence to the court tonight. So when you have a team that's kind of hot and you've coached for a long time and they're coming in with a lot of confidence, ready to shoot the ball, what's your defensive philosophy when you have a team like that?
Well, I think it all starts with the ball pressure up front. You got to command the basketball, and you got to be on the ball at all times. And the second part of that is help side defense. You know, you're going to get beat off the drive, and you're going to have kids get beat all over. But if you got the help side there, that's where it's at. Especially with a team like Massie that's just getting going. They're going to have to live and die off their defense early in the season, especially, and
yes.
Definitely rebound the basketball after that.
Yeah, I would say the things that stand out to me is the amount of practices that have been had by both teams. So the Clinton-Massie Falcons have 6 football guys that just ended their season with the state championship, and Brian will probably talk about that numerous times throughout the broadcast. Probably the most exciting football game that I've ever been a part of, and maybe that I've even seen in person in my life.
I would completely agree. I've never seen one that even matches it live. It was definitely exciting right down to the wire, and just glad the kids could get it done.
Yeah, it was fun for them, and your son got to experience that. You know, Brian's son, Dawson, is a state championship football player now, and that's something they'll never be able to take away from him, and I do want to compliment him. And I told him in person today, had a big game, especially on special teams. Had, quite a few, I believe at least 4 or 5 special teams tackles that stood out for me personally to say, hey, that's the unwritten stuff that may not get into the playbook or the stat sheets, but definitely made a big difference.
Yeah, he really did step up, and I mean, I'm proud of him, but all the boys. They've been talking about this for a long time, since really 3rd grade, and they've worked tremendously hard to get there. So right. it was a blessing for them.
It's good to see it come to fruition, though, that it actually happened. That it wasn't just a bunch of talk. That it actually it's going to end in a ring, which. Just to let you know, before I came in here, I was on the phone with somebody hoping to sponsor some of that ring. So, that's good that we're starting to get those phone calls. And anybody interested, of course, that wants to be a part of this process, feel free to reach out to here at the school or email me, and we'll touch base with you how you can be a part of this football ring championship process. So, speaking of that, congratulations to the team, Coach Dan McSorley, Coach Z, all the rest of the coaches that put in the hard work. We appreciate you representing, and we're looking forward to putting another sign up there on that back wall that we look here tonight at Brian P. Mudd Court. But going back to that point, with 6 guys that are just coming into practice on Monday, in fact, I believe Blake Ireland's the only person that's actually going to suit up tonight. I think you just couldn't keep the ball out of his hands. He was excited to get back on the court. The rest of them are going to take some time and get used to, let their bodies heal up a little bit. Do you feel, since Williamsburg was knocked out of the playoffs in the 2nd round, they've had numerous practices, obviously they've had a couple games, what do you think that is going to be as far as a factor to the success for the Wildcats and for the Falcons?
Well, I think it's a big factor early, and the football kids are – it's a big difference between being game ready for football and game ready for basketball. And these kids have put their heart and souls into football, and now they got to switch gears. But in order to do that, they got to be a healthy one, and they got to have that rest. And it takes some time. It's going to take 2 or 3 weeks for them to get even close to basketball shape. So I think it's a big advantage for Williamsburg tonight for sure.
Yeah, I think conditioning is huge. And a lot of people think, well, you were in shape. You played, 16 games of football, or 15 for us. Well, that football shape and basketball shape, as you well said, is just completely different. I mean, in football, you have pauses between each game other than the guy running maybe 100 yards on a kickoff return or on a long run. It's basically, go hard for 6 seconds, and then rest for 20 or so, and then go hard again, and so on and so forth. So I think there's some fun stuff that they'll get into later in the year because their bodies will be in a little bit better shape. And then you're going to see probably a little bit more rotation from the Massie bench. Tonight, though, we're going to start out with the team that's been here so far, the team that's been practicing since early November. You're going to see guys like Luke Engelhard, Ryan Dillon, Miles Thiegy, Jerry Trout, Connor Stoltz, Matt Zimmerman, Alex Jones, Gabe Muterspaw, Ethan Williams, and like I said, one guy that is going to cross over from the football, that's Blake Ireland. So that's your lineup tonight for the Clinton-Massie Falcons. For Williamsburg, you're going to see Bryce Lilly, Caden Wisman. Wisman is their leading scorer right now with 20 points per game. He's averaging 20 points over these two. Eli Jones, Aiden Holden, Caleb Bogan, A.J. Hines, Zach Early, which is actually the superintendent's son. I'm friends with superintendent. That is his boy. Justin Fuller, Landon Dahl, Alex Irvin, Jace Canton, and Toby Humphreys. And I appreciate Coach McKibben, the head coach of the Wildcats, getting to touch base with me earlier today. And he said it's very simple. Last year was not a good year. They were 4-14. That's not where he wants this team to be. They were 2-10 in the league. They competed in a lot of games, but they only had one senior, so they knew they were young. They knew they were going to take their lumps. They're bringing back a lot of, letter winners, but they've lost Klumpstein, which is their leading scorer from last year, 13 points a game. He is out for 3 to 6 months with an injury due to football. And then they lost the senior from last year with 12 points a game. That's Dan Jones. So how do you look at, as a coach, how do you look at a team where you're losing 25 points a game on a team that maybe only scored 50 to 60 a game, and you've got to replace that with guys that maybe have never even seen the varsity court?
Yeah, well, you don't put it on to one person. You got to share the wealth with whoever's available, and sometimes that might be a night-to-night deal where, this kid gets hot tonight and you're going to feed him the basketball, and maybe if you play 2 nights away, the next one just has to step up. You just look for kids to step up, but going by what you said there, it looks like they do have some experience coming back. So anytime you got kids that have been on the floor the year before, it does help them, just from a confidence level. And it's always a different transition between the freshman to JV and then JV to the varsity side.
And then also those 2 games help. I mean, there's a couple guys here that have gotten the first game jitters out, where there's a few of our guys, Luke Engelhard didn't get to play last year, so he's probably going to take a few minutes just to say, hey, I'm in the big time now. It's got to get used to it.
You're exactly right, and that does take time, and every kid adjusts to that different. And these kids have also set up to where they didn't know when they were going to start their season, so that's been hard on them as well. I mean, I commend them for getting in the gym every day and working hard and just keeping ready.
Yeah, I can appreciate the effort so far, especially when they feel like this team may look a little bit different at the midpoint in the season, or definitely towards the end of the season. So about 3 minutes and 45 seconds till tip-off. We'll have introductions and the national anthem. We do want to let our listeners and viewers know, those that are tuning in on Campus Nation YouTube channel on campusnation.com, we have a 2-camera setup, and the software we're using tonight is a little bit slow on the score. So we'll give you the score as we continue to go throughout the game on the play-by-play, and then we'll update it hopefully quarterly for those of you that can join us periodically. You'll get a score update there at the end of each quarter. So keep that in mind as you're touching base with us throughout the broadcast. And tell a friend. We want to make sure everybody that wants to see this game can see this game. So go to campusnation.com or go to Campus Nation on the YouTube channel. Make sure you like Campus Nation on Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel for all the Clinton-Massie basketball action. You'll see the boys and the girls. And Brian, since you have some familiarity with the girls, why don't you give our listeners and viewers a little bit update of how the ladies have been treating you and how they are doing so far?
I'll tell you what, we are vastly improved in the month we've been playing. We got our first win at Williamsburg last week. Girls are just in the gym working tremendously hard every day, and we're a young group. We got 1 senior, 2 juniors, and the rest are sophomores. So as we just talked about with this Williamsburg group, it's really, they took the shell shock for a couple games, and they've got that out of their system, and they're just tremendously getting better every game, working so hard. I can't be prouder of how they come in every day, focused, ready to work, and it's going to be a very, very good ride for them. We got some good talent in the youth side, and then through the junior high, and then obviously we're playing so many sophomores now. So future looks really good for the girls' side.
And just from that perspective, who's kind of stood out as that immediate leader of that group?
Well, Maddie Phipps and McKenna Branham are my two juniors, and they've all had a lot of varsity experience.
Yes.
Played as a freshman even, so they really stepped up in that role. And then I got Hannah Bowman, who is now running the point as a sophomore, so she's really accepted that role and going with it as far as leading the team.
Yeah, and then I got to ask from my perspective. So my basketball career was not storied. I was on what I call the goon squad. So who's that grinder? Who's that person that's just going to get you the dirty minutes and, get in there and mix it up and maybe not score a lot of points and maybe not even put a lot of tabs on the rebound side, but just does the hard work?
Well, for us, Ashley Doyle is probably one that first comes to mind. She is the lone senior, and she hasn't played for a few years, but she really will just do anything we ask. Hope Roberts is a tremendous defender. Alex Pence and Maddie Bayless kind of round out our rotation per se, and they give us some good quality minutes. Hope is always on the best player they got. We give her, that chore every night, and she accepts it with pride and takes control of it.
Yeah, I love that. Those that are defensive-minded first get all the accolades in my mind. I mean, if you're willing to grind on the defensive side, the points are going to come, and even if you give it off to somebody else and let them score, you're more worried about making the stop than you are about the score. So we are going to take just a moment here as the teams line up. We will pause just a moment for the national anthem. We'll be back with you in just a second. All right, as we get the starting lineups from Bill Learman, our announcer here in just a moment, just about 25, 30 seconds here from tip-off. Clinton-Massie, obviously, we're going to see very quickly under the Steve Graves era, year 2. So, tell us a little bit, Brian, what you think the keys of the game for Clinton-Massie.
Well, I think first off, being that they are just the first thing first is I think ball pressure's got to be there. They got to be able to rebound the basketball to limit the shots. Transition points, kids that are obviously we've probably not worked on offense a whole lot, so they're going to have to get out and get some transition points.
Yeah.
And I honestly think early in the year, the biggest thing is the hustle, winning the loose balls. And they're just going to have to out-hustle people and out-rebound them to get the victory tonight.
Yeah, I think defense is the name of the game right off the bat, and I think it's a great point you said about transition points. If the sets haven't been made yet, if the offense is still a little rough, it's going to be defense, transition points, and see if you can lock them down for enough to where, keep it close, especially have an opportunity in the fourth quarter. So as we have a team taking the floor here on both sides, let's get you a couple starting lineups here for Clinton-Massie. Looks like it's going to be Alex Jones, Ryan Dillon, Connor Stoles, Gabe Muterspall, and Luke Engelhardt. On the Williamsburg side, looks like number 44 is Toby Humphreys. Number 4 is Caden Wisman, their leading scorer. Number 14 is Caleb Bogan. Number 32 jumping for them will be Alex Irvin. The second leading scorer will get you a number here. Ball control by Clinton-Massie off the tip. Looks like number 10 is also in the game, and that's Eli Jones. First shot missed, but the rebound by Clinton-Massie. Gabe Muterspall puts up the three right away. Nothing but Net there. That's nice. That was a good
right
one.
away.
Gabe Muterspaw. Williamsburg drives to the hoop, tries to throw one up. An immediate rebound, outlet pass by Engelhardt goes to Dillon. So, Brian, do you have any familiarity with any of these players? A second three-pointer by Alex Jones taken and is off the mark.
Connor Stoltz plays. I've watched him play for quite a few years. Very good hustler. He gets after it all day long. And Luke Engelhardt, he's a senior that's been around a little bit. He didn't get to play last year, but I've watched him play. He's a good hustler, good big man in the middle there.
Connor Stoltz with the outlet pass to Alex Jones. Alex Jones up and in for two. That's going to be a 5-0 lead for Clinton-Massie. So coming out with a little bit of energy right away.
Very good look off transition. I talked about transition points. There it was.
And you said defensive pressure was going to start, and that was a rebound by defensive pressure. Engelhardt tries to swipe. He misses the ball, but it goes up and in, so that's going to be 5-2 your score as Dillon, a sophomore, if I believe, is correct. Yeah, he's a sophomore guard, already getting varsity experience, so he's going to be asked to step up quick, and that's going to be a turnover for Clinton-Massie. So what are you seeing right away as far as energy?
I like the energy. I do. I like them coming out. They're putting ball pressure, got a rebound, got a transition point, so coming the first keys we talked about, they're doing right away.
Gabe Muterspaw, who is known as Goldie around the campus here, puts a little pressure there at half court. Alex Jones steals the ball, but the ball back to Humphreys. Underneath, kind of drives Engelhardt in, and he scores there, so that's going to make it a 1-point lead for Clinton-Massie. Connor Stoltz gets the ball back. Now you're going to see full court pressure.
This will be interesting to see how they handle the press, being new, first time out of the gate, and then I don't blame Williamsburg. I'd come out and press as well. So that'll be a key to see how they handle that early.
Yeah, you would think you got to test their ball skills, especially guys that maybe haven't had as much varsity experience as those that will be on the floor later on. Engelhardt with a foul there. It's going to be 2 shots for number 32. That's Irvin, I believe. Yep, Alex Irvin will go to the line. He's only a sophomore, listed at 6'3", and again, their second leading scorer up to this point. First shot is good. So something I'll be interested in, Brian, for you to give us some input on is let's see when we get into an actual half-court offense. So right now, like you said, you predicted it well that it's a lot of transition, a lot of use of speed and pressure. But I want to see what Coach Graves has in store when it's just a good half-court set, you know what I mean?
Yeah, how they work the basketball. I mean, the swing passes, the extra pass that the kids need to get.
Vision.
And then vision and penetrating off the wings sometimes. But that takes that extra pass.
3 is good for Caden Wisman. So what used to be a 5-0 lead is now a 5-9 deficit. Long outlet pass by Connor Stoltz. He tries to go out of bounds, but he hits the opposing player, number 10. That's Eli Jones. That's Alex Jones going up off his feet, hits Eli Jones, and the ball goes out of bounds, so Clinton-Massie will retain possession. Dillon at the top of the key. He's trying to drive. He goes hard left-hand side. The ball goes off the side of the rim. So it's good to see some aggression from him. He wants to take the ball, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, that was a good drive by him.
Coach had mentioned that, he was going to have to step up early especially. So as a sophomore, leading the team right now in attempts.
Good look there underneath.
Looked like they were kind of converging on Humphreys, and Irvin was able to just sneak backside there on the other side of the lane and dump it in for 2 quite easily. Connor Stoltz drives across the timeline. He's got 2 people on him. He dribbles out of pressure. Gabe Muterspaw up. And off the back of the iron, it's going to go out of bounds. Last touch by Williamsburg. So it's not a surprise that you're seeing that immediate burst of pressure. These guys have been, waiting for this moment, especially those that have been in the gym since November. They want this opportunity. They want to play a game, but how much is that adrenaline going to wear off in a second?
Just it. It's, as we talked about earlier, just with conditioning, and it's one thing to do it in practice. It's a whole other thing to get out on the floor and actually do it in the big time.
So that's going to be a kick by Williamsburg. Dillon looked like he was trying to feed the ball into Connor Stoltz, and then Williamsburg got their foot on it. So it's going to be out of bounds underneath the basket. Alex Jones will take the ball out. Dillon retrieves the pass. setting up the offense here. Let's see if we can figure out what they're doing here. So a little high-low, looks like with some inside. Yep, pressure and cut.
It's a good look there to get to Luke the basketball where he needs it at the block. Just didn't finish it, but that's an excellent look. Good set right there.
Yep. So it looks like they're going to go a little bit of high-low, and then as they go the opposite side of the lane, they're clearing that out for Luke. So let's see if we come back to that at any point. Alex Jones fakes the shot. This time he does put it up. It's going to go off the back of the rim and lands in the hands of Williamsburg. The outlet pass goes ahead to Wisman. Wisman stops, pops. There's a quick two. It's going to be a timeout by Coach Graves. So if you're Coach Graves, you've had this team practicing since November. You see there's a little bit of youth showing already. You're down 13-5. What are you saying?
In the timeout, you just got to tell them to settle down. I mean, that's the first and foremost. Everybody's got the jitters we talked about earlier, but they got to settle down. They got to be able to handle this press first and then just get themselves in an offense. I like that last set they run to Luke. It gives him the ability to work the block and or kick it out for the three. Alex had a good look there a minute ago, just didn't knock it down. But the sets will be there. They just got to calm themselves down. Like you said, we got some sophomores playing out there right now, so you got to get the jitters and get back in the ballgame.
And Coach Graves, to start off the year, he's still learning the personalities of these players. And you have coached for a long time. I coached for a long time. And there are certain players that, you can handle certain ways. I mean, you can get into some kids and just kind of ride them a little bit and say, hey, you got to do it my way. And then there's others you kind of treat a little bit differently and handle them a little differently. So he's still growing in that capacity as a coach as well in year two and early in the season.
That's exactly right. And, the kids that maybe not can't handle that as well, you don't want to lose them, especially early in the season, early in the game like this. You got to figure each one of them out.
Stoltz goes to
good look.
Yeah, that's a good look to Engelhardt, up and under, using the rim for protection there.
Very good look, very good finish by Luke there on that one.
And Coach had mentioned in some of the scrimmages, a three goes in and out for Williamsburg. It's recovered by Williamsburg. That's Irvin. He's mentioned that Luke Engelhardt has looked real good. A steal by Gabe Muterspaw, drives the ball up to the right-hand side but pulls it back. Then he drives back to the basket. He's looking for an outlet pass. The ball goes right back to him, but he stepped out of bounds. He's going to be a turnover back to Williamsburg. Got Miles Thiegy checking into the game, and Coach is kind of high on Miles Thiegy. He's a sophomore as well. Said he's really been coming on strong, and he's that motor guy. Coach said he's just a high motor guy.
The same thing we talked about with the girls is pulling up here. When you start to play sophomores, it's a big difference from that freshman game to the varsity game, so it takes them a little bit to get used to. But this is good that they're getting some playing time early in the season. It'll definitely help them as the year goes on.
Muterspaw with the rebound there. Now I want you to see something. They changed to that matchup zone. So Coach has been very high on this matchup zone that he shared with me. Yeah, it looks like he wanted to take that shot and maybe could have, but then he's going to spin that ball around. It's going to go to Gabe Muterspaw. He will take the shot. It's going to be off the right-hand side, but it looks like he's going to get a foul called on him. Did a good job coercing that call just a little bit.
Yeah. And they went to a 4-out, 1-in set on that particular possession, and which it works out well with Luke. It gives him 4 options outside to dribble, drive, and get a kick maybe. So that was a good change up and good look at the basket there.
So everybody that's going to watch basketball this year, I'm going to make an early prediction. I have heard more talk about zone this offseason than I ever have. We have a gentleman that was the head coach of both Indian Hill when they made a deep run and Sycamore. He won the GMC a couple times. His name's David Moss. He's kind of the second in command, we'll call it. He's the director of innovation and learning for our school district. Tons of experience, still coaches his son at Kings right now, and he is a lover of zone. I mean, he loves zone. He loves the matchup zone, and he has talked Coach Graves into saying, hey, this has got to be in your arsenal, and Coach Graves, I think, is buying in right away.
Yeah, I talked to Graves some over the summer, and he said he was going to install that and worked on it diligently. And if you got the personnel and can get after it, it's good. Zones are good as long as you don't stand in them.
Yeah, he said it's all about the energy. It's a matchup, so there's got to be some movement. That's a nice block out by Engelhardt there to get from block to block. So right now, the Williamsburg just kind of feeling it out.
It's a different look. From an offensive standpoint, it takes you a minute to get used to what you're doing. Good down under low move there by number 44.
Yeah, Humphreys is a wide load kind of a little bit. Yeah,
he's a big boy.
I'd say
good footwork.
Yeah, 230 is probably not unreasonable, right?
No, and can move. I've watched him already, he's leading the press. That tells you anything about his athletic ability.
Yeah, good feet. I remember seeing him at the football banquet as well for the SBAC. So must be a football player and a talented young man.
Good look there by Luke.
Back to him from Connor Stoltz. He drops the ball on the right-hand side of the basket, goes off the left-hand side of the rim, so a little strong there. Back on defense is Alex Jones, 22 on 22 there. Off the front of the iron, Miles Thigio get the rebound. He's going to lead this. Off to Gabe Muterspaw. He'll shoot from 3. He's off, and the ball's going to go on a long rebound into Humphrey's hands with 1:09 left. Your score is 15-7 Williamsburg.
I do like the new look of this matchup zone. They are getting after it. Give them something different to look at from an offensive standpoint.
Right.
Now, see, we got a rebounded basketball limited to 1, just like.
Good play. Nice hustle play by Miles Thigi. Going out of bounds, gets the ball back in play. Gabe Muterspaw off the side of the rim. After making that first shot, he's had a little bit of a lid on the basket since then.
It happens. Stay confident. Right there is what we got to eliminate. You got to eliminate the second chance points. And, you know, unfortunately, Alex Jones against the big fella there might have been a little outmatched, but you got to box out any way you can.
What do they say? How do you get out of a shooting drought? You just keep shooting, right?
That's exactly right.
There he goes. Yeah, he just puts it in on that one. So just as note, into the game, Zach Early, number 22 for Williamsburg, also number 24. That's Justin Fuller. So playing for the Wildcats. Underneath, looks like the matchup zone, we lost somebody in that process because Connor Stoltz got over there late. It's going to be the end to the first quarter, so 17-9 is your score with Williamsburg in control at this point. It looks like checking into the game potentially is Blake Ireland. So you've seen 1 quarter of Clinton-Massie basketball. Immediately, what are the things that stick out to you?
Well, I like the hustle. You know, they got out early. Once again, I think the youth, and Williamsburg's a good basketball team. They just got to figure out what they're going to do defensively. Offensively, we knew that was going to be kind of a struggle for them. But, you know, you got to keep shooting the basketball. And, you know, it's an 8-point deficit that can be taken away pretty quickly. Just come out of the gates here in the second quarter and get you a couple hustle points, get you a few transition points, and get right back in the ballgame.
So you're going to be able to say this about the football guys coming back in just a little bit. So what do you tell a player early in the season that hasn't gotten a lot of shots up? He's been playing football for 15 weeks. What do you tell him as far as when the scores just don't come?
You know, you tell him that you got to stay confident in yourself and knowing who's going to be coming in. Mr. Island there, confidence in his shooting ability is never going to be an issue. The boy loves to shoot the basketball, so I'm not sure he's going to have any issues with that, but I love Blake to death. He'll give you the hustle points that you need, but from the standpoint of all of them, they just have to understand that the rust is going to be there, and try not to get frustrated and just keep working hard and knowing it's going to be a process. But you know, by the January, Graves will have his true whole team out here, and we'll see where we're at.
Right, checking into the game here is I think that's Ethan Williams, senior. Taking the place of Luke Engelhardt in the middle of this matchup zone. Alex Jones back in the game. Dylan back in the game as well. The three-pointer's off. The rebound first into Williams' hands. He loses it on the way up. They're going to call foul underneath. It's going to be a hold in 2 shots. We'll see who it's on here in just a second. They're going to call that on Blake, I think. As soon as he comes into the ball game, he's going to pick up a foul. Looked like it was with the body and Williams, but they're going to give it to Blake right off the bat. That's good. That kind of gets him into the game quickly.
That's exactly right. Gets in the flow a little bit, good or bad.
First one's up by Early, number 22. His dad actually said that, you know, he's had a good run so far in the first couple games, coming off the bench for him, a junior. Listed at 6'1", junior there. So coming out this time, ball's going to be in Dylan's hands. He's got to get over the line quickly. As Dylan starts to dribble, he gets it back to Jones. Looks like the press is causing some problems as far as just understanding what to do next. Jones stops, gives it to Blake Ireland, who drives left-hand side off the side of the rim, and it's in.
That's good confidence builder. We just talked about it coming out right out of the gate. That's a good drive by Blake. That's what he's got to do to be effective for this team. He's got to get to the rim.
19-11 is your score. Staying in this matchup zone at the point right now is Dylan. The shot by number 14 is off the back of the rim. Ethan Williams gets the rebound and goes to Blake Ireland, who'll bring the ball across the timeline. No pressure this time. with a quick hit. It goes to Ethan Williams underneath. A good pass by Blake Ireland. So give him 2 points and an assist.
You can already tell what he brings to the team. That's exactly right. And what we did down here on the defensive side, we limited to 1 shot.
Okay, so the rebound goes to Clinton-Massie first, but it gets knocked out of the hands by number 34. That's Jace Cantor. Jace Cantor gets fouled in the process of putting the ball back up, so he's going to go to the line for 2. I talked to their coach, and I will say he was pretty confident that he's 8 deep right now. Early in the season, he feels very confident, and he's getting another guard back, he said, within the next couple games. So he may potentially be able to go 9 deep on his bench. Think about that in a small school environment.
That's very impressive, very impressive. And then you can do your, you can press and you can play as hard as you want when you know you got subs right behind them.
Blake Ireland gets the ball, drives it up the field, outlet pass to Miles Thiegy. He stops, gives it to Dylan. Dylan shoots. He's going to be a little short there on the 3 attempt. He was pretty far, but he gets the steal and back into the basket. There's your hustle points, 19-15 you talked about.
We cut the deficit by half. It's the start of the quarter in a minute and a half.
Picking up his second foul within 2 trips of the court here, Ethan Williams. It's going to be an and 1 opportunity for Humphrey. So, I mean, size is going to be an issue. Humphrey's basically just muscled his way in.
Yeah, he's a very talented young man with some broad shoulders on him. Very impressive looking kid.
Back in, yeah, it's all about at this point getting those rebounds and getting them off the glass, because their putback points are probably what's leading them right now. They're not shooting threes, they're getting putback points. Nice pass by Blake. Another 2 points put in by Ethan Williams with a great pass.
That's 2 looks, just perfect looks from Blake. He just sees the floor so well. Senior leader that you need out there right now.
Been playing since a sophomore, so he's got the experience. Turning towards the basket, and a nice finish with the left hand.
That's a good spin move from young fella right there.
Yeah, that's Alex Irvin, again, the second leading scorer up to this point after 2 games for Williamsburg. The ball goes to Ethan Williams. In the process of him trying to go up for the shot, he is going to be fouled. The ball is going to go underneath. So 25-17 is your score. Williamsburg's going to be called for just their first foul. With 4 for Clinton-Massie. So checking back into the game is Luke Engelhard, and also Connor Stoltz checks back into the game.
I like the energy early in this second quarter. And the other thing we talked about earlier with the football guys out and Blake getting a little bit of time here, but you got a lot of sophomores, a lot of youth that's getting time in. It'll be really beneficial down the road for this team.
Miles Thiegy, soft hands, nice job. Left hand finisher that's floated over there. So 25-19 is your score. So, Brian, tell us, what's the one intangible that you're not going to see on the scorecard that you feel is maybe the most important thing in basketball? What's the one thing that I'm not going to necessarily be able to look at the book and say, yeah, this is what happened, but I saw it?
To me, it's loose basketball.
Gotcha. 50-50 balls.
50-50 balls, you have to win them. And when a team's early in the season and you got to win those basketballs. We tell the girls all the time, if we win those basketballs, the 50-50 balls, if we dominate that stat, and it's not even really a stat, but if you do that in your own mind, then you're going to be in games and have a chance to win a lot of basketball games.
And I hate to keep referencing what we've seen in football, but, I mean, it's that one player or that one play. When Zantini scores that quick 1:42 drive that we had in the second half to all of a sudden make it 28-14, everybody starts believing at that point. When you go hustling and dive for the ball and maybe save it or throw it back in bounds, other people kind of feed off that.
They do. Momentum is in high school sports is the make or break. And as we've seen at the championship game, when it was 28-14, you could just feel the whole stadium flip. And it's any game. It doesn't matter what sport it is. When momentum flips, you want it on your side.
I like Thiege's drive there. He ends up getting the foul called on number 44. That's Humphreys. That's going to be his first, I believe. So they'll reset for 2 here. So showing some early confidence, you'd say, in the sophomore.
And that's what I was just getting ready to say. You want to take that drive off the wing whenever it's available and get some penetration. That just opens everything up, and have the availability to not just sit out there and want to shoot all the time.
Knocks down the first one, so it's going to be 27-20 as you have 5:17 left in the second period. Checking back into the game for the Falcons is going to be Gabe Muterspaw. He's going to check in for the shooter, so we'll get that in just a moment. So second shot coming here from Thiegy. That one's also good. So 27-21 will be your score. I think Coach Graves yelled himself hoarse there on that last time out, so he needs a little drink of water in the process. Yeah. Like we said, he's young in his tenure here. He's young in the season, so he's still feeling out, how he's going to approach this team. And every team has their own personality. You would agree with that, right?
Yes, and it takes game time to figure that out. Practice time, you can see some, but you can't stimulate what the game situations are.
Right.
And how kids react.
Engelhardt with a block there and driving in is going to be Irvin. Used 44 as his tackling dummy there to push Engelhardt out of the way. Blake Ireland picks up his dribble and gets it to Connor Stoles. Connor Stoles drives off the right-hand side of the basket. That's going to be up and good. So, honestly, they've had some success driving the ball.
Yes, exactly. The penetration has been the key so far to their success offensively, and they're keeping it this 6-point game, keeping them right in the game.
Where it seems like they were kind of dependent on shooting there at the beginning. That one's up and over from Humphreys, and a good hustle by Gabe Muterspaw gets the ball back into his hands. He's going to give it to Blake Ireland. So clearly with Blake on the court, he wants to take control. Up and under is good for Engelhardt. What a great pass.
That's a third great look Blake's had.
And Coach McKibben is not happy. He is not happy about a lack of hustle to get back there. Did he thread the needle on that or what?
That was three-quarter court pass and hit it perfect on a dime. And I believe that's been Coach Graves' stress the last few timeouts is to get the penetration, quit settling for your jump shots.
Yeah.
And that's worked tremendously to get us to 29-25. 29-25,
4:08 with a timeout called by Coach McKibben of the Williamsburg Wildcats. So, not happy with the effort back on that last possession. Blake Ireland absolutely dropping a dime to Luke Engelhardt, who finished strong with the right hand underneath using the basket for protection.
Second time he's done that, too, on the finish, went to underneath. And that just like you said, that just uses that rim for protection. And, Blake's threw 3 dimes already in less than 4 minutes of play.
So is this going to be that motivator? Is this going to be the thing that maybe starts to get a little bit of the energy flowing back to the Falcon bench here? So with 4:05 left, 29-25, Williamsburg is your score. The ball's kicked back up to the top of the key. Williamsburg resets their offense against this still matchup zone. Blake Ireland giving a little bit of pressure up top. Ball goes over here to Irvin, almost knocked out of hands by Dillon. He gets good pressure on Irvin, makes him push the ball off to Wisman. Wisman tries to get the ball off his leg and then goes inside, but the ball caroms out to the Williamsburg Wildcat shooter, number 10. That's Eli Jones, and he puts in a 3 from about 2 feet behind the line.
Good defense. They just got a little unfortunate on that move.
Going to call a charge on that. Yeah, it looked like Humphreys was pretty planted. Dillon just forged ahead, and he flops down, and it was good play on his part.
Young man's very impressive. He's been impressive on both ends of the floor so far.
So we're going to take just a second as they clean up a little sweat on the floor here. Williamsburg 32-25 is the lead after that three-pointer made by Eli Jones. Going to bring their offense back across this side of Brian P. Mudd Court. Closest to our broadcast booth here, Brian Conley, Matt Baker, bringing you tonight's game on Campus Nation, campusnation.com, or go to YouTube and the Campus Nation channel. Driving Eli Jones to Wisman. Wisman shoots off the back of the iron. Humphreys tries to get the rebound, but Blake Ireland actually tips it out to himself. So didn't matter about size and strength that one. Blake just wanted it a little more. Drive to Engelhardt.
Good look.
Over the right-hand side. He misses that 2-point attempt, and they're actually going to call that the other way.
Another good look by Blake on the drive. Just couldn't get it finished. But that's a good dribble drive. Once again, I believe that's what Coach Graves really wants him to concentrate on. And your shots sometimes are just not falling in a day, and we found that out early. And since they've went to that, it's really been effective for them offensively.
It reminds me of a few years back. We had a young man named Brendan Lamb who was good at driving the basketball and then honestly just kicking it. Kicking it out, whether it was to a post player, whether it was kicking out to a three-point. He brought all the defense on him, and it looks like Coach Graves wants at least that mentality.
Yeah.
Bring the ball in, get it low in the box, and then kick it out or drop it off to the post player.
That's correct. And, Brendan was definitely one of the better ones I've seen around here in quite a few years.
Nice young man in his own right as well off the court. So Clinton-Massie brings in since Luke Engelhardt, I believe, is going to be tasked with his 3rd foul, you're going to see number 21, Matt Zimmerman, a junior forward, is going to have to take his place underneath. That's going to be a score for number 34, Jace Cantor, from the foul line. They're going to call one more shot available, so Williamsburg resets themselves in the lane. Wisman, Jones, Cantor, Humphreys, and Irvin are on the floor for Williamsburg. Muterspaw, Thiegy, Jones, Zimmerman, and Ireland for the Falcons. And you see 3 coming in. It looks like Early will come in. Number 14 would be Bogan, and number 24 is Fuller.
Good move on the Williamsburg part there. We got foul trouble kind of on Massey's side, and with a little bit of lead, get some kids some time, get some rest, and make sure they don't limit their foul trouble. So foul trouble early has kind of cut Massey's ability to stay in the game, but they're hanging right in there.
2:27 left. Blake Ireland with 2 people on him kicks the ball out. That means somebody's got to be open, and a little bit late on that pass in from Gabe Muterspaw, but extra hands from the Williamsburg defenders causes the foul. They'll put that ball underneath with 2:18 left. 34-24 is your score. You had mentioned the fouls, 7 for Clinton-Massie, 4. So it's going to be a 1-and-1 at this point, moving forward for Williamsburg. Back into the game is Wisman for the Wildcats. The drive by Ireland comes back to his own hand, but it's going to be knocked out of bounds as both people go for the ball.
Just getting ready to say, look for Blake to kind of take over here in the last 2 minutes, see if we can cut this deficit back. As Connor Stoltz getting ready to check back in here.
Yeah, if you're the Falcons, what's your magic number to get to before halftime?
I want to get it to 6. We was 8 at the quarter. You get it to 6. It's not asking a whole lot. You get in there, get rested. First game of the year, everybody get your jitters and get things squared up. But I believe we just stay at the penetration. It will be good in the second half.
So let's see if we can go +3 in the next 2 minutes here. So your 2-minute warning for the second quarter, and there's going to be a travel on Fuller there. He slid both of his feet. So there, hey, might be your start right there.
There you go.
Steal of possession does Clinton-Massie, so Blake Ireland will get the inlet pass from Connor Stoltz.
They backed off the pressure here, so must have a new lineup in for Williamsburg as they pulled the press back.
Zimmerman with the ball at the top of the key. He wants to pass, fakes one way, comes back the other. Alex Jones with his hand tipped by Fuller. The ball goes out of bounds. It'll come back to the Falcons. I don't know about you. I don't know if I've noticed something that I'm just seeing it out of my head here, but it seems like they're slipping a little bit on the court.
It
seems
does.
like
I've
their
seen a couple
feet slipping.
Kids.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple kids in there.
Yeah. Blake Ireland almost loses the handle, gets the ball back quickly. Double team by Williamsburg. Should be 5 seconds, but Thiegy gets it, dumps it off to Zimmerman, back to Thiegy. To Ireland. Ireland with Wisman on him. Stops, picks up his dribble. Tries to get the ball and forces it inside, but turns the ball over.
Looks like on that possession.
Yeah, long pass to Zimmerman, but it's going to be stolen by Alex Jones.
Real good hustle by Alex to get back and intercept that.
So steal a possession they try to do again. Connor Stoll's up and under, using the rim again as protection. So that's obviously a point in the practice sessions that they've had to go up and under like that using the rim.
Yeah, they've worked on that numerous times. That's three times we've seen that in this first half.
Nice move by Irvin. That was a nice move.
It was a good, powerful move right there.
Yeah. As soon as he got the ball, he knew what he was doing with it. He didn't question it.
40 seconds left here. You still got the 9-point deficit, so see if we can cut this down and get it into halftime.
Oh, Blake wanted to shoot. He got pulled back a little bit. Connor Stoltz kicks the ball to Thiegy. Oh, it's stolen by Early. Early gets it out to Jones. Jones with only one man to beat. That's Connor Stoltz. The spin, the up and in.
Very good move.
Nice finish by Williamsburg. So they've had a nice run here in these last 2 minutes. Instead of cutting it to 6, they've increased it to 11. And it's going to be another steal by Early. He's going to try to finish this quarter off. So he's going to get the foul. It doesn't go in. He'll get 2 shots from the line. So 38-27 is your score with 8 seconds left. So unfortunately, those last 2 minutes don't go Massey's way.
Got a little sporadic there, just a couple turnovers, and as we talked about earlier, momentum, whether it's short-lived or not, it just when it flips against you, it's hard to overbat sometimes.
Yeah. First one's good.
Ryan Dillon come back in for Blake Ireland.
I have to laugh. Early was looking for a high five from somebody, and nobody would give it to him, so he slapped his own hand. He's like, thanks, congratulations, me. Second one's good as well.
Got a nice smooth left-handed stroke.
Got to love those left-handers. I'm a big fan of those left-handers. Ball's going to go off of Williamsburg back to Massey with 8.5 still left on the clock. Now the pressure comes back.
As I say, yep. Williamsburg up the pressure here.
Dillon gets the ball. Looks like they're going to call a reach-in foul as he's trying to reestablish possession. It's going to be on early. So it's going to be 5 fouls for Williamsburg. They still have 1 to give, so Alex Jones checking back into the game for the Falcons. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's going to take the ball out from the sideline for the Falcons. So Engelhard with 3 fouls. Definitely you lose some presence underneath, some rebounding ability. You're going to need him in the second half to step up. Oh, called the charge on that. That was a little interesting. I thought he didn't have.
I don't think he was set on that one, but the ref made the call. 2 charges went against him in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, 40-27 is your score with 1.3 left. So the key here is let him have the long shot. Don't give him a foul. That's a smart play right there. So you're going to have a halftime score of 40-27. Williamsburg already 2 games into the season. This is their third, having scored 70 points in each of the first 2 attempts, have 40 in the first half. What's your concerns on that?
Well, I think the press has got us in a tizzy when we're trying to beat the press, and it looked like the second chance opportunities, we're kind of struggling underneath, which is where we got come a few of the foul troubles, getting in. But second chance points is really something we got to work on. And offensively, I mean, we kind of figured maybe first game of the year it might be a little bit, scattered here a little bit, but they just need to get back to the dribble drive and make sure that stays and with their arsenal instead of just out there shooting all the time.
Yeah, I think when you're early in this season, you want to drive the basket and up your percentage of ability to score. As you get closer to the basket, obviously those numbers go up. If you just start chucking up threes when you haven't taken a lot of threes even in practice, then your chances of scoring go down quite a bit. So Clinton-Massie coming out hot, scoring the first 5 points, making a 3-pointer, another quick putback, gave them a 5-0 lead. Then you had quite a run there by Williamsburg at 1.95, then 11-5, and then you have a 40-27 score. I'd say that to me what sticks out in that first half is unfortunately the turnovers. And something that we've noticed about Clinton-Massie football going back even a few years, turnovers can be the bugaboo, and it has been something that they've had to work on for years and try to get underneath. I know at one point back when Nate was playing, it was averaging plus 20 turnovers a game. I wouldn't be shocked to say that we probably have 8 to 9 already this game, so you're looking at kind of that same average. So if you're Coach Graves, what are you saying about the turnovers in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that 20 numbers you got to stay under, you got to stay in that 15 to 18 range in order to be successful. And you got kids that, and I hate to keep you harking on it, but it's just the truth. I mean, they're young, first time they've seen it, sophomores handling the basketball, and maybe the first half gets them out of play, and they just got to figure out a way to beat the zone, get it out and get it in, hit the middle guy, get on down the floor, and then keep the penetration up. They just got to learn to take care of the basketball. I've seen a couple times where they went to the corner, picked the dribble up, automatic dead zone against the press. That's where everybody wants you to go. So, little things like that could be adjusted and fixed coming here out of the second half, and I'm sure that's what Coach Graves talked about in the locker room.
And Williamsburg seems to be trapping in the half court quite a bit. They want you to put the ball anywhere outside of the paint, they're going to trap you.
Yes.
So I give credit to them. That's causing some angst for the Clinton-Massie Falcons right off the bat. Like you said, having to handle the ball, these young kids picking up their dribble, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm trapped over here on the right-hand side. Do I push through and try to get, another person to come over and bail me out? Or do I try to go over the top? Do I try to kick it out by hitting it off of them and going out of bounds? So all those thoughts going through your head means time's expiring, and all of a sudden, you see the clock on double zeros, and it's 40-27 with you in a 13-point deficit. So I guess we're going to come back to you here in about 5 minutes. We'll pick this back up with about 2 minutes left before halftime. We'll give you a couple thoughts on the girls' side, hopefully, before we get started. And then we'll bring you a second half of play here in just a moment. All right, those of you that are joining us online, we got a special treat for you. Braden Rolfe.
How's it going?
State championship and Division IV football player for the Clinton-Massie Falcons, a wrestler as well.
Yep.
So you got to give us your minute-long version of just what a season it was.
I mean, it was a great season. I mean, throughout the year, we kind of came together as a team, formed that, brotherhood, I guess. So it was really fun. I don't know. I just thought during that game at halftime, we all knew what we had to do. We just came out and executed.
You mentioned growth. So what changes in the team did you see between, we'll say, week 2 Anderson and maybe into that McNick, Bloom, Carroll state championship game?
It was just like Coach said, we're just connecting dots, whether it's like how we're hustling, how we're getting to the ball, how we're tackling, how we're hitting our blocks. I mean, everything's just slowly going up and up and up, and we just never look back.
Peaking at the right time. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, peaking at the right time. So, we've had a lot of success running the ball on the offensive side, but you're a defensive-minded guy. Your dad's obviously a defensive coordinator. Tell us how great of a job you feel that defensive unit did all year long.
I think it did really good. There's for sure some things that we always struggle on, but I think throughout the year we just got better and better and better. And doing those tackle circuits during practice and pursuit drills, it just helped a lot.
The 2 coaches I talked to at the end, the Bloom Carroll coach and the Ursuline coach, both said that you guys were the best tackling team that they've seen also. I think you can give credit to all those circuits that you guys did run. So I guess what's next for you personally as you go into wrestling season? What's your thoughts, what's your ideas about what you feel is wrestling next?
Well, this year I'm going, of course, wrestling, and I'm planning on going 150 right now, and then by sectionals might be going 144 and try and make another run of state.
And then what's your thought process on school? What do you want to do with yourself after you get done with your career here at Clinton-Massie?
When I graduate, I want to go into the Army, and I want to go into airborne infantry.
Excellent. So you're going to serve your country.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I've been nothing but credit, nothing respect for that. So as these guys give you a little bit of hard time, we know all their names. We know all the guys, the Tramplers and the and Zantini. They get all their press and everything. Give me your one unsung hero. If you were to give somebody maybe a pat on the back that doesn't usually get that extra recognition on this team, who would that be?
There's 2 people, actually. One is definitely Keegan Lamb. He really stepped up this year, and I know Cody was hurt a few times. And Keegan just stepped up. He did what he had to do, and he did really good. I was really impressed with him and his growth throughout the year, especially from where he was last year and how he just worked out a ton and got a whole lot better. And then Gabe McDowell, he's at that Sam linebacker position.
Yeah, big play Gabe, absolutely.
Yep. And Sam, there's just a lot to remember and there's a lot to do. So I think he really did good this year and really just played his technique and tried his best and did well.
Well, from this point on, you will always be known as the state champion, Braden Rolfe, not just Braden Rolfe anymore. So you're going to have that title now. Every time you walk back through these hallowed halls, they're going to say, hey, that guy won a state championship. They can never take it away from you. Congratulations, Braden. We appreciate you joining us tonight on Campus Nation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Joining us back at the play here is 42-29. So a quick basket by Williamsburg. A second one now off of that defensive pressure comes 2 turnovers. So, Brian, right away you're seeing the defense step up for Williamsburg. So even though they did a good job in the second half, the first half, they're already starting hot in the second half.
Yeah, they're turned up the defense pressure right away and causes a few issues right out of the gate here to make the margin up 15 now, 44-29.
I talked to their superintendent at halftime. Clearly, as we said, and there's no issue with this statement that, having 2 games ahead of you, obviously it puts you in a different spot than we're at, and he admits that, he knows that, but he feels like their offensive output, 40 points in the first half, is even above what they've seen already in the first 2 games.
Yeah, that's the part that's kind of impressive to me and or I'm sure aggravating for Coach Graves, because as we talked about, you're going to win basketball games early in the year, any year, but especially this year, getting late start on the defensive end. Offensive, this always comes a little bit later no matter who you are. And so, I'm sure Graves is harping on them to cut the points and or the turnovers down tremendously here in the second half, just to grow by halves at this point.
Irvin with the drive inside. The turnover goes to Alex Jones. He puts the ball ahead to Dylan. Dylan tries to throw it back up. It was a little ahead of him, but he threw the ball back up. Now a turnover by Williamsburg, gives it back to Gabe Muterspaw. So talk to me a little bit, over the years, and you played for Clinton-Massie, that's correct?
Yes, I did.
And what years was that?
92 to 94.
92 to 94, and you said what coach you played for was?
Jeff Stanley.
Jeff Stanley, okay.
Yep.
So in those years, is it fair enough to say that Massey football did not have the same amount of success?
That's correct. It was a basketball school, I would call it back in those days.
Okay.
Yeah, so, that was the football. Had actually, my senior year, went 9-0 and kind of started the trend toward the positive
forward,
side.
right.
So that was definitely back then. It was more of a basketball school.
So I talked to Coach Brian Mudd, RIP Brian Mudd, and we're at a Brian Mudd court here. Up and under goes Williamsburg, but the miss by Humphreys. He mentioned it numerous times in conversations I had with him. It's been mentioned by other people that have either talked about this job or potentially having this job in the past, that you have to deal with getting football players late. You have to get in a small school. You're losing time with athletes. If you're Coach Graves, how do you approach that?
Well, I think the first thing you do is cherish the football team and those kids and want them to come with you after they win a state championship in December, and just encourage them to play in the summer times when they can, but the other side of it is you get to build those kids that aren't football players, and you get more individual time with those, and that helps develop the program, because these kids that are out here right now, a lot of sophomores are getting to play, and that's just valuable minutes for those and valuable gym time in the last month when the football team's been playing. Those kids get more one-on-one experience, more coaching experience, and so it could be a positive as well.
And I'll tell you, all the credit goes to Coach Graves. You had mentioned being a part of that football tradition by supporting them. I can tell you right now, Coach Graves has done that all year long. He's been to basically every game, maybe missed one. He did a tailgate outside of the regional championship at Little Miami, yeah. So, I mean, he's done a great job and just, making this a fun run for not only the football players but his basketball players to support the football players as well. Underneath, the ball gets kicked to Wisman. Wisman drops it in for two. It's going to be 46-30 is your score. A 16-point deficit is what the Falcons face with 4:54 left in the third quarter. Dylan stops, dribbles, gets it out to Alex Jones. Alex Jones back to Dylan. He'll shoot that left hand. He's going to be off the mark, and it's going to go against Clinton-Massie. So one thing we've noticed is the fouls have definitely been lopsided so far. So not only did the first half not turn out well for fouls for Clinton-Massie, they've already started and committed two here early in the third period.
Well, I think that comes back to the first game experience, moving your feet. Some kids just – it's hard to simulate that stuff in practice, and they've been at it for a month. They get tired of beating on each other, so kind of want to get out here and get physical with somebody else, and sometimes it just costs you a little bit.
Yep. Nice move. Oh, doesn't finish, though. Humphreys gets his own rebound. The ball's going to end up in the hands of Blake Ireland, though. So opportunity to go up 18 is lost by Williamsburg, with Humphreys not being able to finish. Hard dribble by Blake Ireland. He tries to kick it to Ethan Williams. The ball's going to be touched last by the Falcons. It's going to go to Williamsburg.
And I think this is a great opportunity for the Falcons to just improve, in this half and not worry about so much the score as much. That'll come, but just improve on your offense, improve on your defense, boxing out the little things that'll just get them better as the year goes on.
Cody Zantini having a little bit of fun on the Falcons bench. He grabbed the shorts of the player that was Early trying to take the ball out of bounds. He kind of grabbed his shorts a little bit and pulled him down. So Early looks back at him with a smile, all in good fun. So you can see on the bench there's 5 players for Clinton-Massie wearing street clothes there as they get ready to start this season here in the next week or so. Ireland decided to go ahead and kind of cross that line and say, hey, get me in, Coach. I'm ready to play right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of valuable minutes sitting on the bench in street clothes right now that'll just do nothing but help Coach Graves and give him a real nice rotation. As we talked about the Williamsburg earlier, going 8 or 9 deep. I can already tell with just who we've got playing here and who's going to be available when they get off the football layoff here. He can very possibly go 5, 8, 9, maybe even 10 deep if he needs to. So that's going to help him in the long run.
Yeah, I've been impressed with some of these younger players and guys that maybe haven't had as many varsity minutes as you'd hope that are starting off the game. And out of bounds goes that ball by Alex Jones. So he misses that pass to Blake Ireland. It's going to be a turnover. And we talked about turnovers in the first half. You're just giving away possessions.
Yeah, and early in the year and any time turnovers are just a huge deal. But it's just it's a frustrating thing. And for the kids tonight, I mean, I think it's just, you got to stay positive, realize it's just one basketball game, and build on it and keep going.
So this time the turnover goes against Williamsburg. And we want everybody that is watching to check in with us. Check in with us if you can, 937-303-8069. So, Brian, we like to see where people are watching and listening from. Blake Ireland with a three-point attempt. It's off the side of the backboard there, and that's just, again, not having a lot of shots. He just wanted to get one kind of out of his pocket there. He tries to grab the ball off of Jones's hands. He takes the shot anyway and misses it. Connor Stoltz comes away with the rebound, trying to run the floor. It goes to Ireland. He stops, gets hit in the process, but finishes.
It's a good quality finish by Blake there. Took it strong right to the rack and then went ahead and finished it while he was there. Probably could have got a foul call, but didn't get one.
937-303-8069. Check in if you would, please, if you're listening from Harveysburg, Clarksville, maybe another state watching outside of the Ohio area. We'd be glad to hear from you. 937-303-8069. And Brian and I, we might have to come up with the question of the game here in just a moment to see if we can get a little bit input from our watchers, our listeners, our viewers. Here from Brian P. Mudcourt at Clinton-Massie High School for the first game of the boys' season, the opener. And we talked already a little bit. How many games do the girls have in at this point?
We got 4 in. and then we play on Thursday. We go to Goshen. Saturday at home against Lynchburg, and then got 2 more next week. So we got 4 here in a pretty good 2-week stretch. So.
And Goshen should be pretty strong, I would think.
Goshen's a good team.
We
watched a lot of film on them today, and so they're going to be good quality tests for us. We're looking forward to it.
I know a couple of years ago they started a couple freshman girls that honestly were not bad as freshmen, actually. So I imagine that they'll be pretty good at this point. Back over the timeline goes the ball, but they say it's deflected by Clinton-Massie, so Williamsburg is able to retain possession. Jones wants to dump the ball underneath. The spin move, the block by Williams doesn't come up, so that's going to be 2 for Williamsburg. They're going to almost hit the 50 mark with the pressure full on at this point. Ball goes to Trout, but it's going to go over his head. The pass from Connor Stoltz a little bit strong. So that pressure has definitely been a difference maker for Williamsburg.
And I think that's the thing. When you're in practice mode, it's hard to simulate what a press. Even you can watch it on film, but it's hard just to simulate that for the kids until they actually see it, especially for the first time.
Jerry Trout in for the Clinton-Massie Falcons, getting some playing time. Like you said, these minutes for these sophomores, these young players are going to be valuable, especially as the year goes on. A couple of these guys potentially could be a little better fit at the JV level and may end up resting down there for the majority of the season. But this game, as well as the game on Saturday, they're going to get some minutes before these football guys get back into shape.
That's correct. And, I mean, with the rules of giving you 6 quarters a night, I mean, you could potentially give them 3 and 3 and still have them available for most of the varsity game as well. So time played for sophomores is a great thing.
Dillon tries to steal that pass. It goes out of bounds. So I do have 2 thoughts I'd like you to share at some point. There is a conversation, and has been for years at this point, about a shot clock at the high school level. I guess what's your initial response to a shot clock at the high school level?
I'm in favor of it. I think that just the tempo of the games nowadays, I mean, I think it's a good thing. A lot of you don't see as many of the, I guess I would call it the Moeller, grinded out kind of style basketball. So
Princeton offense.
Princeton, correct, yeah. So, I think I'm in favor of it if from a personal level. As long as they don't make it, too excruciating short. But I think they're looking at, 35 seconds?
35, yeah.
So I'm in favor of the change.
And then the second one I'd like to know that may come to basketball eventually, but came to football in the state championship game. What do you think about instant replay at the high school level?
That part I'm not so in favor of, because I'm an official, a registered official, I guess, and I know I get emails all the time with. You can look at it both ways, I guess. There's a lot of they're needing officials. They don't have very many experienced officials, so maybe that would help. But then, you're going to make mistakes out here, just like the kids do. And at this level, I just don't know if it's needed. Although I will say, it's kind of nice at the state game. Maybe when you get to that point, but I don't know that it's needed during the regular season. Just maybe in the playoffs.
Yeah, and at the high school level in basketball, it would only be used sparingly. It'd be for maybe possessions and different things like that. not on a regular or a foul call or something to that. Wisman with another score on the breakaway, 52-32. So a 20-point deficit now is what the Falcons face as they immediately go into pressure, and that ball is going to be thrown away by Trout.
Yeah, the press is really frustrating. I mean, you can see the kids are getting frustrated, and that's the thing Coach Gray's got to work on here as we come toward the end of the third quarter, is just to get them calmed down and allow them to handle it without getting too uptight on their own selves and down on each other.
What do you tell a team that's getting ramped up by that pressure? You can tell they want to try to play faster when they don't necessarily have to play faster. They have to play smarter.
Well, that's just it. You know, it's hard from a coaching perspective because you want to tell the kids to calm down. But the biggest thing on the press is if you just get to the middle of the court, get it beat, and not necessarily you don't always have to score off of it when you get it beat. Maybe you get it beat, get across half court, and set your offense up. So, we tell the girls that all the time. You don't necessarily have to score. They want to get you rushed up. That's what the whole idea of the press is. So if you just get it beat and set your offense up, then get you a good shot.
Most pressing teams want to get you, just like you said, off schedule. They want to get you moving when you don't want to move, and you kind of force yourself to get out of what you normally do.
That's exactly that's the 100% what the idea of the press is.
Wisman with a three-point attempt missed, but recovered by Williamsburg, and he's able to tap it in. That's Irvin at the last second, puts another 2-point score in, so it's going to be 54-32 is your score at the end of the third period. So unfortunately the deficit starts to widen for Clinton-Massie. So the Youngs from Kingman are enjoying listening and watching. Wonder, is that Brian Conley or Jay Billis? I'm telling you, nice job.
It is.
We appreciate Mr. Conley joining us. How about Tim from Hamilton, Ohio? Go Wildcats. Congrats on the championship. We appreciate that. Parents here in Williamsburg, they appreciate the stream. Mrs. Bailey watching from Waynesville. That's our elementary assistant principal. And we appreciate those of you that had the time to check in with us. Anybody that wants to just let us know where you're watching from, 937-303-8069 is your score. Is your number, 937-303-8069. Thank you to the Falcon cheerleaders. A nice crowd here for, on a Tuesday night for an opening night. Had a nice student section show up to support their teammates and parents as well. And Williamsburg bringing a few fans from Williamsburg. Something that Williamsburg has that is kind of interesting. Williamsburg is actually where I went to look at their stadium setup, as we're talking with VSWC, which is the same architect that they used. If you've ever been to Abrams Stadium, the thing that I give them credit for is they put a lot in a very small footprint. So they have a brand new stadium, they have brand new seating, they have storage there, concessions, a new track. I mean, it's a really nice facility, all paid for by a generous donation from a very affluent member of the district. So if we have any of those in Clinton-Massie, I would gladly take that phone call. But we're looking at a design that's done also by the same architecture firm. But that was given to me by Matt early. I appreciate him passing on their name, and they've been awesome in the process. We've had a committee of community members, local business leaders, staff members from the school, coaches, parents, myself, administrators, Aaron Sear, the high school principal, Benny Carroll, AD, have all been a part of these now 7 or 8 meetings, and we're really starting to come together and create this plan that'll be presented pretty soon to some local businesses to see what kind of support we can get. Want to try to keep it private donations if we can and business supports, but we'll see if the people want to join in at some point as well.
Yeah, I was just down at Williamsburg last week for the girls team, and it is a very impressive facility at a small school like that. And I was definitely I actually kind of slowed up and looked at it when I drove by.
Yeah.
It was very, very impressive.
It helps when it's all paid for by one check. So.
Never hurts. Never hurts.
No, Williamsburg does a great job. Matt Early, their superintendent, a friend of mine for years, does a great job for him, and I know they appreciate his efforts down there. His son just had a nice outlet pass that went ahead, but the layup was missed. It's going to go back to Clinton-Massie.
This is the time in the game where you work on the little things and continue to get better, and Williamsburg's still putting the press to it. So you want to try to still work on your press break for the next time you see it, and limit the second chance points, loose balls. This is stuff that you can fix today and then keep working on it.
Nice play by Early again, actually knocking the ball out of bounds. So, yeah, just go over some of those points again, Brian. If you're Coach Graves and you feel like this game has maybe gotten a little bit away from you, what are you looking for to prove that there's something you got out of this game?
Well, the first thing I'm looking for is the kids' mentality. You know, do they stay in the game? Do they still hustle? Heads not down? Then secondly, from a basketball standpoint, it's, as we talked about at the beginning of the game, it's the loose balls, it's the rebounding. It's the, he was just talking to Blake a minute ago about a ball fake, then a bounce pass. Just those little tiny things that'll help, as the year goes on and you can improve on each and every game.
Is it fair enough to say that it comes – I know this is going to sound like such an obvious statement. Doesn't it always come down to fundamentals? I mean, how many people know how to bounce pass nowadays? Not many.
No.
So, I mean, those little ball fakes, triple threat, getting the ball into the hands of your playmakers, but also making sure that they have an idea that they're ready to get that ball out of their hands to the guy that's open. I mean, those are all fundamental things that you have to hold on to no matter what level you're playing at.
I've whether it's high school, I've talked to college players, and I've even read things about the pros. I mean, they spend every single day or every practice has worked on defensive slides. They work on their jump shot. They work on bounce passes and rebounding. It's boring. It gets tiring in practice, but it's just something you got to do every single day to get better at it.
Trout going 3 for 3 from the line. Immediately back with the score is Wisman, though, and actually checking in is the Wisman family watching Caden. Driving to the lane, through the lane is Blake Ireland. The rebound is retrieved by Englehart, but his shot is off, and the ball go back to Williamsburg. That's
something that I noticed, and probably the Williamsburg team coaches have stressed this tremendously, is we've had very few second chance shots all night, and they're limiting us to one possession, one shot on each possession, and that's just a huge difference in a basketball game.
I'll throw out a name to you checking in for us. How about Ryan Wilkinson?
Wow, there's a name
Ryan Wilkinson, blast from the past.
Yeah.
His brother is a teacher for us. That's Kerry Wilkinson. If I remember correctly, Kerry is the all-time leading scorer for Clinton-Massie. Does that sound right?
That is correct. He actually beat his brother. When those two played, they were phenomenal to watch. And Brian Mudd had some really good teams back in the day. God rest his soul. And those two were probably some of my funner ones I've ever watched around here, especially when they got to play together.
Yeah, when I talked to him about who were some of your favorite players, and we had many a conversation about that, the Wilkinson brothers definitely were mentioned at the top of that list. So
they were definitely fun to watch for sure.
So he's checking in. He's actually saying nice job there, Coach Conley, and calling the game. Checking in from Hartville, Ohio. And checking in from, Springs, Florida. Looks like we got somebody checking in. It broke up just a little bit there, so we appreciate you checking in from Springs, Florida. So question of the game, it's December 7th, okay? December 7th. This is an easy one. I'm going to start you in easy.
Oh.
Okay. When is the appropriate time to put up the Christmas tree? So if you want to give your opinion, we'll get Coach Conley's opinion in just a second. Now, if you are in the Baker household, you are the day after Halloween.
Ooh.
Yes, the day after Halloween, no question before Thanksgiving.
We don't even worry about Thanksgiving.
Oh, no. Thanksgiving gets no love in the Baker household. I mean, it's a holiday spent with family, don't get me wrong, but we are decorating for Christmas. As soon as the ghouls and the goblins go off the list,
you're eating trick-or-treat candy while you're decorating.
Absolutely. That's a good point. We're eating Reese peanut butter cups while I'm putting up the wreaths. And we have a tradition that we put all this outside stuff up and do some lights and things like that. So, again, if you want to check in, just have a little fun here, 937-303-8069. Give me the date. Give me the time. What's too early? What's too late? I've had people even tell me that they don't put their Christmas tree up till Christmas Eve.
I have heard people say that. I can't imagine that myself, but I have heard that one.
Okay, so Coach Conley and the Conley household, when is the tree going up?
Weekend after Thanksgiving.
Weekend after Thanksgiving. And that's probably a traditional. Yeah, that's pretty popular.
Somewhere in that
say.
range.
Yeah.
It's usually the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Okay, so you put away the ham and the stuffing. You've even had the leftovers a good one time or so, and then all of a sudden here comes the tree, the tinsel, the lights.
Everything's coming out.
Gotcha.
Yeah. we're long past the trick-or-treat candy, though.
Okay. 937-303-8069. Just share with us, when is it time to put up that Christmas tree? Because I know the decorations are out in my office. I'm excited for the Christmas season. We appreciate some fun that we'll have here at Clinton-Massie Local Schools for that, and we appreciate our staff getting ready for this break coming up here in just a couple weeks, about a week and a half early with the spin move. Gets
blocked by Thiegy.
Yeah, it was. It was a block by Miles Thiegy. So a few people checking into the game for Williamsburg. You're going to see number 30, Landon Doyle, and number 2 is Bryce Lilly. Gabe Muterspaw with the putback makes it 62-41. So going on a couple score run here with Dillon giving defense against Doyle. Early stays in the game. It looks like also checking in the game, number 20 is AJ, and I'm probably going to butcher this, Henize. Henize. You got a thought on that?
No, that's what I'd go with.
Henize? Okay, we're going to go Henize. And if anybody wants to give me an enunciation on that, feel free. So let's check in here with our first couple listeners. Said, yeah, we're going to go day after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Okay. Again, how about first day of December? Okay, that's reasonable. Yeah, December 1st. Also have somebody checking in from Fairborn, Ohio. We appreciate you. Give us your idea of when you get the Christmas tree up, 937-303-8069. What's too early in your mind, Coach Conley? Is it a little too early to go the day after a Halloween? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a little early in my opinion.
Okay.
But, you know, if you're liking eating that trick-or-treat candy while you're putting up your Christmas tree, then
it's okay then?
Go with it.
Yeah.
Go with it.
My wife's a big fan of Christmas, so we get it up as quick as possible. So
Nothing wrong with that.
I could put out another question. How many people, like my wife right now, has every Christmas present wrapped, ready to go, underneath the tree? I'm saying done. Done.
Well, I'm not even close to that one, so I still got a whole lot to get, let alone wrapped and underneath the Christmas tree.
People walk in my house and they see these stacks and stacks of presents and are amazed and say, "Are those filled with real presents?" Yes, they are. Absolutely. She's had those wrapped for a month. So Clinton-Massie, 41-62 for the Wildcats, so a 21-point deficit here with 2:30 left. Looks like Williamsburg has given a couple kids some opportunity to get some minutes here at the latter part of this fourth quarter. So, again, going back to the game, Coach Conley, what have you seen that you can take away if you're Coach Graves and you are absolutely thrilled about? Not just happy. What are you thrilled about right now?
Well, I think the hustle's been there all night. You know, the attitude's been good. The press obviously frustrated them, and that's just something you can fix as you go on. But the hustle, like I said, the hustle and the attitude, and the kids are still working hard, still doing what Coach Graves asked them to do offensively. So you got to find the little things in a game like this, and understand also that, you know, it is early in the season, and as we talked about before, Williamsburg's got a couple games under their belt, and that's huge. I mean, not only are they got games underneath their belt, we've got kids that are coming from playing freshman basketball last year to varsity basketball this year. So, you know, it's the little things you got to find, and I think there's a lot of things that you could look at that turned out good today, even though the score is not in our favor.
So when you also watch this film and you start writing things on the board, what in your mind is maybe thing number one that has to be fixed?
Turnovers. And they dominated us on the rebounding. I mean, we talked about at the beginning of the game, and I think those two just, you know, and loose balls, there wasn't that many tonight, but, you know, turnovers and rebounds is where we kind of got away from. And the press, obviously, you got to learn to settle down, as we talked about earlier, just break the press sometimes, not necessarily just because they got us, like we said, they got us in a frantic for a little while in the press, and that's what they wanted to do. Good shot.
Score by Thiegy. That's going to be a three-point basket, bringing it down to a 20-point deficit. I will say this, Irvin and Humphreys for Williamsburg are going to be some problems for people down the road.
Very, very impressive young men.
Thiegy with a steal, and he goes to score. He misses, but they're going to call a foul after Gabe Muterspaw puts it back in. He's going to have an and-one opportunity from the line. Thiegy with the steal on the far end, comes back with some hustle, misses the layup, but it's picked up by Gabe Muterspaw and put back in with the foul. So it's going to be 64-46.
And we talked about just that's the little thing right there, a hustle play on a steal, and then Muterspaw with the hustle down to follow up the layup.
Yeah, you got to follow your guy. You got to give him the credit for getting the steal, but you got to be there for the rebound if you need it. So good job by Gabe Muterspaw, who's had a nice game. I think he just needs some time. He needs some time on the court.
Yes, that's exactly right. He's had some very good moments. And I think we've seen early where, the dribble drive, we had a few good looks, and, that's something that Graves can go back through and look at the tape and realize, just build off of that possessions that really the second quarter, late in the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter, we looked really good offensively.
I would say if I'm Coach Graves, I like the hustle, like you said. I'm complimenting the hustle, and I'm complimenting you taking my coaching all the way through the game.
Yes.
You can tell everybody's listening and making changes. Here's what I got to see, though. I got to see shot selection. I agree turnovers, don't get me wrong. You can always get better on turnovers. Turnovers is like communication. Whenever somebody says, well, what could we do better? Well, we could communicate better. Well, we could always have less turnovers. But shot selection is big. I think in the first quarter we threw up about 10 three-pointers at one time, and only one of them went in. And that's shot selection. So I think at this age, it's hard for people not to recognize that every shot is not necessarily a good shot.
And and you want kids to be confident enough to keep shooting, but you also want them to understand that maybe you're not off tonight, and maybe you just have to step in 2 or 3 steps inside the three-point line to get a little closer. Maybe it's just not the three you want to shoot. You want to shoot the 10-footer, and that's a lost art. And the mid-range jumper is a lost art in basketball anyway, so, it's hard to get that.
Absolutely. So as this game comes winding to a close here with Jerry Trout hustling there to keep the ball in play, it's going to go back to the Falcons. Let's look at the schedule. So Clinton-Massie will have Waynesville this Saturday. How exciting is it to have Waynesville back on the schedule?
Very exciting. I'll say that's my first thing I looked at when I seen the schedule. I can't wait for Saturday night to get that. That's just a good rivalry, and the teams need to play each other. It always brings a good crowd, no matter where it's at, and it's a rivalry that needs to be renewed.
Yeah, and Superintendent Pat Dubbs and I sat down and said we need to make this happen. It's been missing for quite a while, and luckily we were able to do that here recently. So this game's going to end 66-47 is your score. As we go down the rest of this schedule, we'll bring you a couple closing remarks here in just a second. Wilmington, obviously a tough test for Clinton-Massie. Will be on the 14th. Goshen on the 17th at Goshen. At Goshen is a tough place to play. With their big, they have a big gym, and their student section is right behind the opposing bench. What do you see on the Williamsburg side as far as? The Clinton-Massie, the rest of the games there that kind of stand out to you?
Well, I think we got a couple of good tests coming up right away, and to get these football players back, you're going to have to kind of survive here the month of December. But then I look down the list as we go, especially getting in after the first of the year. I think there's potentially some good wins out here for us if we just we got to build, and we got to get them guys legs underneath them, and that's just going to take some time. But there's potential to keep building and catch ourselves a good win here coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, I see Hillsborough is going to be a tough team. East Clinton even is going to be tough. Coach Shorey over there is doing a great job with them. They've had some turnaround there, and they've got about 6 or 7 guys strong off of their bench there.
Monroe's always good.
Monroe's real tough. And how do you not look at Western Brown right now as the number 1 team in the league?
Yeah, they're just going to be tall and athletic and with length, and that's the thing that we've got a couple big kids in Luke and Ethan, but yeah, it's going to be interesting how they deal with not only their size but athleticism. Correct,
those guys
right.
are special players. Drew Novak and those guys are guys that obviously are going to command a lot of respect on the court. So we're going to see that later on the season. This team might look a little bit different by that point, but we appreciate you coming with us, Coach Conley, tonight. So we do have the Falcons taking their first loss of the season. Williamsburg improves to 3-0. Again, we're going to give you multiple games on both the boys and the girls side. So tell us one more time, Coach, about the girls' schedule coming up here in this next week or so.
Well, we're going to Goshen on Thursday.
Okay.
I got Lynchburg here on Saturday, and then we got Miami Valley Christian on Monday, and then Blanchester before the holidays. So we got a stretch of about four games here the next week and a half or so, and the girls are looking forward to it because I think sometimes it helps them to play. They get out of practice, so they enjoy that a little bit. But no, it's been fun, and they've improved every single game. So we're looking forward to getting this 4-game stretch underneath our belts here.
So if Western Brown and Batavia are probably your lead in the league for the boys' side. Who is it on the girls'
Western
side?
Brown's going to be Western Brown and Goshen are the two
Really?
on the girls' side. Yeah, Western Brown's really good. They got some length just like their boys do. So,
Wow.
yeah, they've got a couple real good teams. And really, they got some size too. So kind of the same deal the boys have. They got size and athletic ability. So they'll definitely be the test for the league.
So they're not just wanting to win the league. They're looking at what they do even afterwards.
Yes, exactly. And Wilmington's, we played them a couple weeks ago. We were up by 10 early, and then, they got us by 4 at the end. So, it's a tough upside of that league. There's everybody, but potentially we can play with anybody. But once again, it comes down to limiting turnovers. It's the little things of the game that really make or break the game.
Well, join us throughout the season. You'll see both boys and girls game here on Campus Nation. Again, go to campusnation.com or Campus Nation Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the Facebook page so you'll be updated on all the newest contests added over the next couple weeks. We thank, as always, Rick Phillips, our engineer, who did a great job for us. We need to send a special shout out to Rick for all the work he did during the football season, traveling many, many miles. Many compliments were given to me as a superintendent about our production from the Campus Nation side of things, and giving credit even above some of the ones that had to be paid for by, many people. So we appreciate Rick for what you did for us, and we'll see you later on. We appreciate you checking in for us tonight. For Brian Conley, this is Matt Baker saying we'll see you on the